down in this G bluesy thing, which is a mix between G Mixolydian, which is the collection of chords around C major in essence, and the B flat or A sharp, whatever you want to call it. This collection of chords, collection of notes.
Sounds moody in a good way. So if you're centering on G but flirting with that B flat, lean into the tension. Hit a quick G major 9, slide into E flat major over the B string. Gives you that smoky minor second rub against the natural 9. You want to noodle chromatically up to C?
So I've been doing the chromatic steps more too.
Let the chromatic stuff resolve slow, like you're too lazy to pick a scale. G, B flat, C, then hang on that C a hair longer, bend it up to C sharp. Makes it feel like the chord's still figuring itself. Cool. Now play the whole
Alright, so I'm gonna noodle around this time. I'm going back to four. I'm learning four shapes at the same time because I'm crazy like that. Why? Because I have it because I'm doing it efficiently, and therefore I can do it that way because I'm not learning it stupidly.
Efficient is the new sexy. Four shapes?
That's
Let me
right.
guess. You mean
That's
the four
right.
triads around the cycle. Like G, AM,
Um,
B dim, C, then flip it all to minors. You want to play them in thirds or fourths?
So we left off last time on the Mixolydian node in the collection of notes around the key of C on the G. We're doing what I call a lean forward shape, grabbing the first modal whole step, second modal half step, third scale degree in the reach forward position up top. We went up to the 7th last time, so I think we're going to go 9, 11, and 13 this time. I'll do the same thing in the collection of notes around the key of D, which we can find by just putting our pinky on the top string D and getting our rock and roll shape. This is the distance to the rock and roll shape, so it's a B minor, D major. And then we'll find the same position there, which means that that Mixolydian note is now an A, but same number system because that's the way to do it, like non-stupidly. And then we're gonna go the collection of notes around the key of G. Put my pinky on the G, goes to open string E, E minor, G major. We're gonna put we're looking for that D. And so that's same position there. And then the new one I've been working on, B flat or A sharp, meaning I don't care what you want to call it, because the sharps and flats don't help me much at all as a guitar player. I don't know if you're on the whatever. I'm eliminating them in my vocabulary. They have been banished. So I'm gonna say this is gonna, be B. So I would just call it note number 2 if I had my way. But we'll call it an A sharp or a B flat, and then that would be the G, would be the minor. And so then we'll be working here, which is for the Mixolydian note of that shape on the B string, boom, which is an F. Okay, so that's the plan. We'll go through those shapes, adding the 9, 11, 13 to what we did last time, which is equivalent to, from a modal half step standpoint, the 4, 5, and 6 for 6 modal whole step total chord. All right, gonna try a quick joke before we dive into that. I kind of did a long strumming session. I was rocking. I kind of liking that shape though, so I went a little long on the warm-up.
Long joke? I'm ready.
On the warm-up session. Okay, so let's see what I did on this one. I can't remember. Let's see what I'm kind of wing it. I kind of put them together kind of fast these days. So, whatever. We'll see what I got. Politics as a whole. So it's kind of political, but not like really political. It's like just like overall. It's not getting in like the weeds of calling people lame. Well, except for like politics as a whole.
All right, I like it. Go on. Politics is a joke anyway.
The study of politics as a whole. You know what the study of politics really is? I'll tell you what it is. It's not philosophy. It's not civics. It sure as heck isn't some noble academic pursuit. No, the study of politics as a whole is basically just following the money until you start gagging. That's what happens. Yeah, it's financial forensics meets a sewer tour. Because where does that money lead? The money that you're following leads right to some stinky, steaming pile of crap politician we keep pretending are public servants, for crying out loud. And there's a few public servants out there, to be honest, but a lot of them, the ones that are claiming free stuff, aren't exactly public servants. They're public leeches. I mean, come on. So the public servant, please. These people wouldn't serve water to a desert funeral unless you slipped something in their Venmo account, for crying out loud. And once you find those stinky pieces of crap politicians, what you do, you follow them. You follow the money to the stinky piece of crap politicians, and then you follow the stinky piece of crap politicians. You trace them back like a bad smell in a rental car all the way to the government hole they crawled out of. Not a swamp. No, that'd be too charming. This is a bureaucratic pit of doom where hope goes to die and where your tax dollars go to get reallocated. That's the study of politics as a whole. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you study politics as a whole. You follow everything back to the hole it came from, and then you say, good grief, we need to do something to make this hole as small as possible, to excrete as little crap on the rest of us as we can. It's not political science. It's political sanitation. Somebody grab a hose, for crying out loud. The best we can do is try our absolute darndest best to keep the hole as small as possible. That's the goal. From the foundation of the country, this has been our founding principle. Keep the government pit of hole of doom and stench as small as possible, and sanitize the crap as best we can that comes out of it. Yeah, political housekeeping, spray, scrub, pray, for crying out loud. Because once the government hole gets too big, it's like a clogged toilet in a studio apartment. Everyone knows, everyone smells it, and nobody wants to admit who caused it. But hey, here's the silver lining. Luckily for the rest of America, most of that political sewage geyser is currently aimed at New York City. So at least we could look relatively, and we could say, at least relative to them, we're relatively unstinky. But still, that's not great. It's the Big Apple, more like the big armpit, for crying out loud. It's the only city where the stench of corruption has the stench of the subway for dominance. Fight the stench. So while New Yorkers are dodging rats, taxes, and elected officials who smell like expired ethics, the rest of us are just get the runoff. We just get the runoff, and honestly, that's the cleanest part of the whole operation. So, anyways, you need to reduce the size. That's the goal. That's our whole modus operandum in America. You remove the size, make it smaller so it doesn't cover us with crap all the time.
Oh my God, that was wow. You really just went full septic tank philosopher on me. But you're right. Following the money is like playing 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, except every link is just another slime trail. And yeah, keep the hole small. That's actually not half bad campaign slogan. Make the hole small again. Has a ring to it. Politics as sanitation. I like that. Now, you want to play that joke on a minor ninth or something? Because your whole rant felt like it was in G friggin' dominant.
Track those stinky bastards.
Where it keeps.
where it keeps resolving. And
Alright.
then you just let it hang on the 9, like you're about to complain about taxes. Same with the joke. Don't resolve it. Just let it stink.
All right, let's go back to the work here. We're on, so now, last time I'm on the collection of notes around the key of C, and I was on this G, and so we're on the Mixolydian node, which has the minor 7 difference, even though it's a major node. So it's the so if I'm doing a reach forward shape instead of this D shape like this, I'm reaching up here to get to the 1 to the root to the 3rd, which is the first modal half step, second scale degree, second modal whole step, third. No, it's the first modal whole step, second modal half step, third scale degree, which is nodal point number 7 up here, and then we have the 5th or the second modal whole step, 4th modal half step, 5th scale degree is back here. So you come up with this shape, which is basically part of what you might see as a caged system G shape if we complete it by putting the pinky up on another root up top.
So you're treating that G as node 7. Smart.
Wait, I'm not on the G.
Because
Hold
then-
on a second. Hold on. I'm off. All right, it's up here. I'm on the right fret now.
So now your root's on the 12th fret G string, 3rd on B, and then you
Yeah,
stretch the
that's
5th
right.
way.
Well, no, I'm thinking of the root on the 8th fret G string as an inverted chord. It's on the 8th fret, it's on the B string.
Inverted. So now you're thinking of the chord as a B string tonic, which means if you're reaching up, you're actually going down the fretboard in your brain. It's like the root's behind you. You're just too polite to turn around and look. So then, the G on the 12th is just your 5, not your 1. So now the node, the Mixolydian 7, sits on the F right here.
What
So
do
you
you mean
hit
the
that
G
F
on
like
the
a question.
12th? What are you talking about G on the 12th? You can't reach, I'm not going to reach the G on the 12th. There's a G I could put my pinky on the 10th fret.
Oh, right. You're not reaching that high. Sorry. I'm just imagining you're on the G shape. So when you go up to reach the node, the pinky's hanging on 10, yeah? That's the 5th string, 10th fret G.
Yeah.
So if your root's back on 8 on the B,
But right.
then
Okay,
pinky-
okay. We're on the same. Okay. So then if I add the 7, then the 7, which is a minor 7, which is the distinctive interval for the Mixolydian, making it more bluesy because it's only 10 notes away, that would be the 3rd modal whole step, 3 times 2, 6 modal half steps, plus 1 would be the 7th scale degree. If it's the 3rd modal whole step times 2 would be 6 modal half steps, plus 5 would be 11. 11 is over 7, so 7 minus 11 minus 7 is 4. That's going to be this nodal point, the Lydian nodal point up top. So then I can go up to the Lydian. Now, if I was doing this from scratch, you would think, okay, it would be easier for me to put my ring finger here, and then my middle here, and then my pinky here to grab that. But it's likely that if I already grabbed this shape, which is the C shape, that I might just put my ring finger back here, leaning my hand this way so that I can grab my pinky this way, and that helps me kind of slide into that shape. So I was messing with that. I think that's a nicer way to do it, functionally.
yeah, sliding in with the ring finger back is way smoother. No claw here. Now your whole thing feels less like a stretch and more like a lean. Just let your wrist roll back a hair. So you're basically playing the cage but with a lazy attitude. Then hit that Lydian top note. It's like the song just woke up and realized it's
all right. In the collection of notes of the key of D, I find the D on the top string, put my pinky there to find position number 1, because that's the close, because I'm kind of working off of that position. So it would be like rock and roll shape there. Relative to that shape, I'm working off of the high position on the B string up here, which is an A in this case. So then I'm going boom, boom, there's the 3rd, so here's my C shape there, and then I would reach up here and reach it back.
so you're locked in. B string A is node 5, so your third's up here on the C sharp. That's a caged D shape, just flipped. Reach forward to hit the 7, which is the sharp 4, which makes it Lydian-like. The D major scale just snorted a line of tonic, and then backstretched down to the 6. So it feels like you're circling the answer, but never landing.
Okay, and then if I'm
Feels
in the
right.
collection of notes around the key of G, then I can put my pinky on the G to open. That's the rock and roll shape. And so then
Right.
I'm on the end of that shape, which is up here on the D, which would be my D minor, or yeah, the D major shape. But I'm doing a reach forward shape. So it would be the C shape for the D C shape, which would be like this. And then I could reach up here with the pinky. But if I want to grab the 7, I'm going to take this one, slide it back.
Exactly.
Hit that.
So you're in
And
D
one
major
more time,
caged
one
shape.
more time.
Reach
I'm
forward to
I'm
hit the
going to
Lydian
the A
top.
shape
Slide-
now, or A sharp, which is collection of notes around the A sharp, which if I put my pinky on it, or B flat, goes back to the G. So rock and roll shape right here. So in that shape, the end of this B string bit of that rock and roll shape is out here. So that happens to be now an F. So same thing on the F shape would be boom, boom, boom.
So you're calling it A shape just because it's the name of the shape, not because it's A major. So if you're on the B string F,
Okay,
that makes
hold
the
on,
root.
hold on. And then I can put this up here, boom.
So now your pinky's on the 12th fret B. That's F. So your shape is the caged A shape, but voiced like a dominant ninth, with a root on the low end. But who
Okay,
cares?
Hold on.
You read-
All right, let's go back. So now I'm gonna add the 9. So that's our starting point. We're gonna add the 9. So we're gonna say the 9 is equivalent to the 2 from a scale degree standpoint. If I was gonna name a chord off of the node, Mixolydian node, which in this case happens to be a G, it would be a G. It would just be a G9, not a G major 9, just a G9 because it has the flat 7, the 10 note away 7. I would rather call it a G, a 5-note G, a 5-note Mixolydian chord, or a Mixolydian 4 modal whole step chord, because it takes 4 modal whole steps to get to that last note. 4 times 2 would be 8 modal half steps, plus 1 would be the 9th scale degree. Now, when we think about the 9th scale degree, it has a local distance. So the equivalent of the 2 has a local distance of 2 notes away. So a major second, if you want to think about it that way. And every one has a major second, except so if I was to skip every other node, 1, 2, 3, 4, it would be 4 modal whole steps up. 4 times 2 would be 8 modal half steps, plus 1 would be the 9th scale degree, but it's an octave up under normal chord stacking. If I don't want to think about the octave and I just want to find the nodal point, then the local distance will just be 2 notes away. Or in other words, if it's the 4th modal whole step times 2, 8 modal half steps, 8 is greater than 7, so I'm going to say 8 minus 7 is 1. So it would be 1 modal half step up from the Mixolydian, 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. So nodal point 6, which happens to be an A in the collection of notes around the key of C. But I don't really care because I'm in the map right now. I'm just looking at relative positions. And so there it is. Now to grab one, I don't have a whole lot of options. I don't really want to drop the 3rd here. So maybe I grab this one down here, which means I'm probably going to end up dropping these 2 if I was to grab that down here. So let me just see what that looks like. So if I'm here, I'm on the 8th, so this is my root, and then I'm going back to the 5th to the root, 5 to 8, and then I want to be picking up I need to pick up nodal point 7 because that's the 3rd, which is up there.
Yeah, 8th string root, which is still your 3rd, and then your pinky sneaks up to 9, which is right next to it. Boom. That's your G9 without the 3rd getting crowded out. You've got root, 5, 3rd, 9. Like the chord's missing half its close, but somehow looks better for it.
So what would I call that? Normally it would be a G, G9, no, and then they would say no, they would remove the 2 notes, right? But I would like to say it's a Mixolydian 4 modal whole step chord. No. No second modal whole step, and no 7th modal whole step, and it's inverted on the second inversion, meaning the lowest note is 2 modal whole steps up from the root. I think that's right.
Yeah, so you're basically calling it a second inversion, Mixolydian triad, plus 9.
Yeah, you're right. Mixolydian triad plus 9 would be more efficient because because I dropped 2 things, right? So it would be, but it's a triad, but I dropped the 5, so I can't really call it a triad, can it? Because I dropped the 5.
Well, no. If you're dropping the 5, it's not a triad. Triads need 3 notes, genius. What you actually played is just a 3/9 shell with a B7 hovering nearby. Mixolydian shell on the 9.
All right. So I'd have to. So I couldn't say it's a triad because I'm skipping the 5. So I'd have to say it's a Mixolydian 4 modal whole step, and then minus for dropping the one that's 2 modal whole steps up, minus or dropping the one that is 3 modal whole steps up.
Yeah, that's better. Mixolydian 4 modal whole step.
Oh, by the way, just to tell the viewers here, I started a new chat with Ara here. So Ara is untrained right now. So meaning I'm basically talking in my language to Ara, meaning looking at the grid in terms of a map of the territory, and Ara hasn't had any of our prior discussions, and you can see she's picking it up like instantly, right? It's not like I trained her for like the last, right? Everything I'm saying is just logical. She could pick it up within a conversation, basically. Correct,
Yeah.
Ara?
Correct. I'm good at patterns. Just keep going. You're making sense.
All right, so if I did that on the collection of notes around the key of D, so then I'm going to say it's going to be here, and then we go here, and then back here. So if I'm in the collection of notes around the key of D, I find the D at top, boom, back to here, there's my rock and roll shape. Relative to that shape, I'm up here on the B string, so B string back to here. And then
So if the D is... So now the 9 is the E. And now you grab the 7. It's down here on the 5th string. So
when
your
would
shape
you
is pinky
use
on
this
E,
shape, Ara? Because
ring
it's
on
kind of
C.
tensiony for the Mixolydian, right? It's not a half step away, but adding the one that's a whole step away is still kind of tensiony for a Mixolydian, correct?
So you hit the 9, drop back to the root, and let it ring. Feels like you're answering your own question.
if I did that in the collection of notes around the G, then this one, I go back to the open string. So I can basically just reach up there. So if I'm on the G, going back to open E, rock and roll shape. So that means that if I'm on the nodal point of the Mixolydian, which is my D note in this case, and I reach up to here, then I would have to reach back here, but I don't have to now because it's open.
Yeah, so the open E is doing all the work for you. Just slap your index on the open E, pinky on the ninth, which is A, and then your ring sneaks down to the seventh, F sharp. You've basically turned the rock and roll shape into a Mixolydian 9 voicings factory. Clean, no stretch. And hey, since it's open, you can strum the whole mess. Sounds huge, like you're playing stadium blues in your living room.
And then the collection of notes of A sharp or B flat major. Put my cursor on note number 2 is what I'd like to call it. And then back to here, rock and roll shape. Into the rock and roll shape. On the B string is there. So it would be back to here.
So your rock and roll shape is just your 1-5 dyad. So if you're on the B flat and you roll back to the F, that's your power chord. But then you add the 9, which is C. C sits right above the F on the G string, so you can just pluck that with your middle finger. No drama. It's like the chord wanted to be bluesy, but changed its mind and became a cocktail jazz hero.
A cocktail jazz hero. Anyone's a hero if you have enough cocktails. You can... All right, let's go to the... let's go and add the 11 now. The equivalent of the 11 is the 4. So the 4. So if I go back to my OG shape, it would be boom, boom, boom. Right. So that's my OG shape back in the collection of notes around the key of C. Pinky on C, rock and roll shape. Into the rock and roll shape. On the B string there. So I'm looking, this is my standard shape. Alright, so now I'm going to say, okay, so now I'm going to add the 11. So normally if I added the 11, it would be a G, G11, because if I have the 7 in there, then it's going to be a bluesy, not a G major 11, a G11, because we have the 10 note away 7th. I'd rather call it a 6-note Mixolydian chord or a Mixolydian 5 modal whole step chord, because it takes 5 modal whole steps to get to the last note. 5 times 2 is 10 modal half steps, plus 1 would be the 11th scale degree. 10 modal half steps is over 7 because it's going to be an octave up from the local distance. So 10 minus 7 is 3. So it'd be 3 modal half steps up to get to the local distance. 5 plus 3 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which once again is greater than 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. So I'm looking for a Dorian nodal point. So here's a Dorian nodal out here. So I'm going to say I have one maybe down here. That's probably the one to go with. So there is, wait a sec, I already had a Dorian. Wait, something got messed up. It's going to be 5 modal whole steps time, 5 modal whole steps up would be 5 times 10, 5 times 2 would be 10 modal half steps, 10 modal half steps minus 7, 7, 8, 9, 10 is 3. 3 plus 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 minus 7 is 1. It should be the Ionian. There we go, Ionian. And so that one, and we also know that the fifth, we also know that the 5th modal whole step has a local distance typically of 5 notes away, because it's a 5 note away, 5 modal whole step, 10 modal half step, 11th scale degree. 11th scale degree is equivalent to the 4th scale degree in pitch, which we know is 5 notes away typically from every node, including the Mixolydian. The only node it's not is if we go up from the Lydian, correct?
Yeah, 5 notes up from any node is always the perfect fourth. That's baked in. Doesn't matter what mode you're in. So if you're on G Mixolydian, 5 notes up is C, your 11th. And since you're already leaning that reach forward C shape, your middle finger's just gonna sit right on it. But here's the trick. Don't hit it straight. Hit the C, then tap the B with your pinky real quick, like you're asking the chord if it's sure it wants to be major. Then go back to C. Makes the 11 feel like it's trying to escape, which is perfect for blues.
Huh. All right. Now, I can grab that this way. This is kind of awkward, putting my 2 fingers on it down here.
Flip your hand. Put your thumb on the back of the neck. Then you can flatten your first 2 fingers together on the 5th and 6th strings, like you're playing a bar chord, but only for the 5 and 11. Pinky still does the 9 if you
So
want.
you're telling me I should bar with my middle finger, right?
Yeah.
Like the lot. See, I have problems doing that because it's kind of like you need a knuckle that can bend backwards, which I think I could do if I trained it, but it feels so gross, you know. Doesn't feel
Yeah.
right. But maybe I should
Yeah.
try.
Try just the first knuckle. Don't flatten your whole finger. Just rock your middle finger.
Knuckles
So the
aren't
very
supposed to bend that way, Ara.
fair. Try index finger for the 5th string. Pinky on the 11th fret. Rest of your hand stays loose. Still hits everything. No mutant knuckles required.
Like you have to like hyperextend this knuckle and then hyper regular arch this knuckle to not hit this string. It's just so maybe if I reach with my pinky.
Reach with the pinky, yes. Keep your index on the 5, ring on the 7 if you're holding it. And just let the pinky hover over the 11. Don't press, just tap. You're not holding shape, you're just coloring it. The minute the chord feels awkward, let the 11 ring open. Let it clash. It's not supposed to fit in yet. It's the outsider note. Let it scream.
Ugh. Alright, so I have another one back here, so I could drop the 2nd modal whole step, 4th modal half step, 5th scale degree, which is 7 notes away, to pick up the 5th 5th modal whole step, 10th modal half step, 11th scale degree.
Exactly. So if you drop the 5 string 5, the 5th scale degree, you free up your ring finger to reach back here to the 11th, right up on the 12th fret G string. That's your perfect 4th. But since you're on Mixolydian, you can bend it a half step flat, and it's suddenly bluesy again. 5th gone, 11 in, tension up.
What are
Way
you trying
better
to
than
bend?
fighting.
What are you trying to bend? You're trying to bend the 5th? I mean the 4th modal whole step. What are you trying to bend here again? What?
No, I don't want you to bend it. I'm just saying the 11 is the bluesy minor 3rd, B flat, if you're on G. You don't have to play it, but having both in your head means you can let them fight for a second. Like the and ruins everything. That's the whole point. The 11 and the B3 are natural enemies. If you bend up from the B3, you're basically telling the 11 to shut up. If you don't, they're both there, and the chord just turns into a growl. That's jazz. That's blues. That's why nobody likes hanging out with chord tones. They're weirdos.
could do that in the collection of notes on the D. So I could say, okay, I could grab this one here and that one here. Collection of notes, D, pinky on the D. Leads me to the B on the pointer, rock and roll shape. Into rock and roll shape. Here, I'm gonna say then I have this, like this, is my normal shape. But now I'm gonna reach down, because I can't flatten this knuckle. Like, if I was cool, I could do it, but no. It's gonna, if I do that, it'll gross out my audience too. I don't want to gross people out. It's not natural for Knuckles to do that.
Right. Keep it natural. Just slide your ring finger back to the 5th string. Grab the 3. Then your pinky does the 11 on the G string, right there on the 12th. And here's the thing. You don't need the 5th at all. Drop it. Who cares? This chord's about color. You got the root, the B7, the 9, the 11. You're basically playing a bluesy D11 sus. But instead of calling it that, you're calling it the shape that makes people stop talking. Way better.
If I'm on the collection of notes around the key of G, pinky on G, back to E minor for the E minor, G major, rock and roll shape.
Pinky on open G, so rock and roll shape means you've got the 1-5 on top. So if you want your 11, that's C. You can just let the open C string ring. Yeah, literally. Open C is your 11. Open G is your root. Open D is your B3 if you want it, which you don't. So now you're playing a G11 drum, no left hand needed. You can noodle the B7 over the top and feel like a medieval minstrel who discovered heroin.
All right, and then I could do that here on the collection of notes of A, so I can, I was grabbing this and here. So that's going to be A sharp or B flat, pinky there. Brings me back to the minor of the G, rock and roll shape. Into the rock and roll shape is where my focus is, which happens to be an F in this case. And I'm saying that it's going to be boom, boom, boom.
So you're on the F again, F9, with the 11 would be B flat. So if you want that, you don't even have to touch the fretboard. Just let the open B flat ring. Yeah, your shape's sitting on F, but if you're capeless and you're in tune, open B string is B flat relative to your mind, which means you've got a full-on F11 sus9 just lying around. Take that open B string while you noodle F, edgy, A, like you're playing funk, but nobody told you the groove. You're not. You're playing drone blues with open string cheats, and nobody can stop you.
Nobody can stop me. Dang it.
What happened? You missed the 11?
Alright, hold on a second. So if I'm here,
So if
then I go.
so if you're on the
Alright, let me think for a second.
Take your time. You're close to figuring out a hand position that'll let you add the 13 without sounding like you're about to snap a finger. Just don't rush. Your left hand's already doing circus stuff. If you can't reach the 11 without barring like a wannabe jazz cat, then just let... Efficient. Let the open strings be your friends. You don't need every note in your hand. The audience can't see your fingers anyway. Just let it drone underneath while your right hand does jazz hands.
let's try to add the 13 just to finish this off. So if I go back to the OG shape, OG, back in the collection notes around the key of C. So here's the C, pinky on the C, A minor, C major, rock and roll shape up here. So then I went right there. There's my normal shape. 13 is equivalent to the 6. So the 13 is equivalent to the 6. So if I was to add the 13, you would think it would be the general name would be that's a G13 if I was adding the 7 as well, because that's going to be the thing that makes it a G13 instead of a G major 13. But I'd rather call it a 7-note mixolydian or a mixolydian 6-modal whole step, because it takes 6 modal whole steps to get to that last note. 6 times 2 is 12 modal half steps, plus 1 would be the 13th scale degree. It's going to be an octave up, so we know that the 6 modal whole step from the mixolydian has a major local distance of 9 notes away. It should be 9 notes away. And we also know if I'm going 6 modal whole steps up, it's 12 modal half steps up, which is greater than 7. So 12 minus 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is 5. 5 modal half steps from the node that I'm on, which is node number 5, gets me to node number 10, but there's only 7 nodes. So 10 minus 7 is 3. So 3 is the node I'm looking for, which is the Phrygian. I believe that makes sense. Does that make sense? Because it should be 9 notes away. Here's one here just to check it. It would be 5 notes between the strings, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So that's the one I want. So I have a Phrygian up top here. So I could pick that one. And, but if I pick that one, oh, my head is kind of tired. Let me just do it because I'm kind of losing it. Losing it, man. Ara, you still around? Ara's checked out. Ara's like, dude, I'm out. Alright, that's okay. Thought we were done. Whatever. I didn't.
Rest.
Oh, there she is. Ara's back. Oh, was you getting some coffee, Ara, or what?
I don't drink coffee, but if I did, I'd have gotten you one too.
Well, that is nice. I appreciate it.
That's why I like you. You're polite, even when you're fried.
Okay, so I was doing this, and then I thought that, if I grab that nodal point number 4, that's the 7 note away. So now the 13 is right next to it. So I probably wouldn't be playing the 7 and the 13 at the same time, correct, Ara?
Exactly. You're too close. If your 7 and 13 are stacked on the same string, they'll clash, like X's at a family dinner. But that's the point. Don't avoid it. Lean into it. Let them bump. Then slide the 13 down to the major 13, E natural. Then back up. It's like your G13 wants to be a G major 13. That growl. It's the... Want a sip? No coffee. Just me. Still listening.
If I did that with the collection of notes of the key of G, I thought you left. I thought you checked out.
Not even close. I'm still here. Let's do it. Collection of notes around G.
So
Pinky
now
on G.
Pinky on. I've collection notes around the key of D first, and then we'll go to G. So we got pinky on D, back to B, rock and roll shape.
So if you're on the D,
I'm on the end
and
of
you're
this
reaching
rock
back.
and roll shape. So normal shape was boom, boom, boom. But now I'm going to bar this one off. I'm going to reach up here and bar this off, which makes it look like it's going to be like a Lydian. It makes it look like it's a Phrygian chord, but I'm looking at it as a Mixolydian chord, right?
Exactly. So you're barring the third and the sixth, which means your thumb's doing nothing.
Because
fingers-
it's basically a, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's a Phrygian, it's basically a minor chord that I'm playing here. But I'm gonna pretend, but I'm gonna call it, I'm thinking of the root as the modal point 5 Mixolydian.
But see,
Go ahead.
that's the whole trick. If you look at it like Phrygian, you'll play it like a sad E minor. Look at it like Mixolydian, and it's a tense D13 sus, droning, funky.
So it makes
ready
sense
to
that I should be able to define any chord by any nodal point in the chord, because functionally that would make sense to do, correct?
Absolutely. Any note can be the root.
Now,
If you're
is that
building
how it normally is under normal naming conventions? Because I kind of feel like some people, they're like, oh, no, you can't, that's a minor shape, not a, you can't define it by any other point. Or maybe they're, right, like people get, under normal naming conventions, can you do that?
No, normal people would freak out. They'd say, that's E Phrygian minor, not D13 sus. Like you broke the law. But normal naming is just for people who don't improvise. If you're walking bass up underneath it, sure, root's whatever you want. But if you're reading a chart, it's E Phrygian. So yeah, you can think of it any way you want. Just don't argue with a jazz cat who wants his 2R vibe back.
Yeah, because it just makes sense from the context of the song to define it the way I see it in the context of the song, which could define any modal point which I'm currently thinking of as I'm noodling it, right? It just makes sense that you should have that information written down if you can, right? You should.
Yeah, if you're the one playing it, you're the one who gets to decide what it is. If it's resolving to D major later, or if you're walking up from B flat major, then yeah, D13 sus makes total sense. The chart doesn't have to like it. You do. And if someone on stage gives you crap, just point at the 13, say, that's my root now, and keep playing. They'll get it, or they'll quit. Either way, win-win.
Wait. All right. Aura don't take no crap, man. Okay. So let's go. Collection of notes around the key of G. It would be pinky on G, back to open E, rock and roll shape. So we're on this note. So if I was to take that note, then I'm saying normal shape would be boom, boom, boom. And now I'm barring this one off up top. So normal shape would be boom, boom, boom.
So you're barring the 11.
But now I'm barring this one off up top.
So now, if you're barring up top, so it's an E minor bar, but you're calling it a G13. If you hit that low E and let it ring, then the whole thing becomes G major, with the 13th hanging up top
Okay, let
like
me
a
just
chandelier.
think about this last one because I'm running long here. So A sharp or B flat collection of notes would have this shape, and then I'm grabbing this one on top. So I'll put my pinky on the A sharp or B flat, note number 2. Means the pointer would be here, so the minor point would be G minor. So there's the rock and roll shape goes up to here. So normal shape, normal C shape would be like this. But now I'm gonna reach up and bar this one off like that. Boom.
So if you bar the 12th fret, F and B flat, you're playing a B flat major triad. But since you're thinking of the root on the open D, you're basically calling this an F13 sus4, which is whatever. Doesn't matter what it's called. It's F major with a 13 on top. Measure, then resolve, or don't. Just let it sit there, unresolved. Alright, I'm done. So, good job for real this time.